All right. Sounds like y'all are ready. Everybody having a good time so far? Well, that's good. That's the most important part of these shows, is to make sure you have a good time. And then you got to learn something. I want to go ahead and get started. I want to thank you all here for making this another record-breaking year for us here at WISPA. This WISP America show had over 650 attendees this year. Appreciate it. Just a couple of highlights about the show so far. We've got representation from 8 different countries here, which is kind of amazing. 42 different states are represented. And Illinois seems to be the most represented at this show, so thank you, Illinois. As far as new membership this year, we've had 47 new principal members since WISPApalooza, and that number may be a little bit off, and 23 new vendor members since our last show. Some more stuff that's going on new this year at the show. We have repeating tracks for legislative, for Spectrum Update, and Open Internet. So if you can't attend one, attend the other, or if you want to, come to both of them. We are happy to have you. Also, new this year, everybody wait for it, awkward pause, Animal Farm 10 at WISP America. I want to thank Chuck McCowan for working with us to have this very good technical track as part of our show. And I hope you all have a lot of fun attending those sessions and participating in those tracks. Also, new this year, our things to remember this year is we have our success stories coming up on Thursday as part of our keynote speakers. So I encourage all of y'all to come to hear from yourselves, from people like you, talking about how they're overcoming obstacles, how they're winning. I would like to also thank the folks that are very critical to this show. Start off with Trina Coffey and her staff, and Nathan Stoop from the Agenda Committee. Trina, can you stand up? Nathan, can you stand up? Anybody else from the Agenda Committee, any staff here, be recognized? You guys are really some of the most important parts of this show. I also want to thank Kylie Brown. Is she here? No? Well, she is amazing. She works for WISPA ISP, and she really fills in all the gaps for the show and make sure that Nathan's on track and make sure everything we got going on stays on track. I also want to thank the board, the WISPA board. And you know many of them. You probably were introduced to some of them last night if you hadn't met anybody. But I would like for all the board members here at the show to stand up and make yourself known. This board is a very hard-working board, and it's important that I make sure that they are all recognized for their vital roles. All right, let me get right into it. So this year, WISPA is getting involved in state activities a little bit more than we have in the past. We have a state coordinator chairman at a state coordinators committee. Jimmy Carr is the chairman of that committee, and he's very headstrong on trying to identify issues that we can, as WISPA, can help with you at the state level. We are a national organization, and we do a lot of stuff in D.C., but we're trying to also understand the dynamics of state activities. So we're going to be developing some issue papers this year. We're going to be getting some information from you guys. Hopefully we can also develop these a 10-step program for folks that are having difficulties maybe within your state or your county or your city to try to help you understand how to go about affecting change. Some issues that you're probably all aware of. These are all state-level type issues: pole attachments, zoning for towers, being able to get access to grant funding within your state, or getting basically the state-level categorized name of your company being a part of like an ETC or whatever it is your public utilities establishes that you need to be eligible for federal grant programs. So they're going to be identifying a lot of those things to try to help you be successful in your business. So a lot of the stuff that's going to happen at the state level is going to be requiring you to participate in surveys. It's going to ask you to invite your legislator to your office and introduce yourself to them. Let them know what you do. Let them see your operations. Let them understand that you're actually a real thing happening within their state. Hopefully we'll have a nice presentation by the WISPA Palooza show for this particular process. Moving along, DC. We go to DC every year, multiple times. I believe that's Forbes up there in that picture. So this little quote I picked out, it's kind of funny in a way. The whole art of government consists of the art of being honest. And so we go to DC and we basically say that. Some of the people we go to see at the FCC are our regulators at the FCC. They have probably the most impact to our organization, so we see them quite a bit. There's the team, FCC. Many of you all know some faces. You've seen them. We've talked to them all. You probably remember from last year them fixing the internet with net neutrality. That was a great thing. They basically came to tell us that they're here to help us because they're the government. But the FCC has important roles. You know, they're not just there to make trouble for us. They have to protect us from the bad. They also use their authority to do good. But let's get right into the year in review of what WISPA's been doing with the FCC. So one of the things that we do when we're there is we always try to get more spectrum. We try to get access to more spectrum for you because spectrum is your lifeblood. And so there's been this new spectrum in the 3 gigahertz band. It's called the Citizens Broadband Radio Service. You all can call it CB if you want. That's fine. But that's to get access to 150 megahertz of spectrum in the 3.55 to 3.7 band. Now, many of you all have used the 365 band in the past. It was sort of a license light. You had to register your equipment on the Universal Services System on the FCC's website. We're going to be looking at a whole new way of getting access to spectrum dynamically. It should be a lot of spectrum that is in prime real estate area for you to get high bandwidth to your customers in areas that are difficult. We've been working with the FCC over the past year or so to make sure that folks that use 3650 now still have access to it basically in the same way, maybe a little bit easier. So that's some exciting stuff that's been coming up. New terms that you're going to be hearing, the SAS, or the Spectrum Access System, or an ESC, which is a sensing system to sense the use of this spectrum in military zones. Some other important things that WISPA's been working on at the FCC has to do with the out-of-band emissions in the 5 gigahertz. Many of you all heard us talk about how we were potentially going to lose access to higher power or bandwidth within the upper 5 gigahertz due to some issues with out-of-band emissions. We worked with the regulators. We worked with many of the industry, our industry partners. We worked with the manufacturers, and eventually the FCC was able to come to a point where they felt like some rule changes were available to them that have been suggested from our industry, and they are moving forward with that now. So I feel like we are in a pretty good shape when it comes to that particular band. We're still able to do the same things with very little change or impact to our networks. TV white space. Now, I've talked about TV white space for the past couple of years as the president and also as FCC committee chair, and we're still making progress there. Some new rules that came out this year or last year give us higher power for TV white space equipment, the potential for bonding channels, which is going to allow us for higher bandwidth capabilities. We're looking at some more flexible rules that should make the use of that spectrum more efficient. And we are also addressing the issue of the professional installer, which is also very critical in the 3.5, 365 band as we go forward. We are also participating in some rulemaking proceedings, something called Spectrum Frontiers, to get access to the 24 gigahertz band in ways that we haven't had in the past. And we are also still pushing strongly on making professional installers in our industry part of all of the regulations going forward. Many of you have had to defend your territories from incumbents that were going to get funding from the federal government, from the FCC, under the Connect America Fund. And WISPA has been trying to do our best to make sure you are educated as much as possible so you can combat that. And many, many members, me included, were able to defend the incumbents from getting money from the federal government to come and overbuild in our networks. And we're going to keep working on that. We're also trying to work with the FCC to make the rules a little bit more palatable. I mean, you guys are all small businesses. You don't need to be throwing away money just so you can apply for a grant that you may or may not get. So we're working on that on the new Connect America Fund reverse auction program to make sure that all of y'all have a fighting chance to go after funding in your areas to build out. Yeah, the Hill. My favorite place to go in the world. We go there several times a year with our legislative team. And I'm reminded of this statement every day, every time we're up there. What's the opposite of progress? Congress, right? Here's what's going on with our legislative team. So the open internet, again, we're still dealing with that. Lots of issues with open internet. WISP has always been supportive of an open internet, but the way they went about doing it really put the hurting on small business. So WISP has been part of a coalition to help fight that. We've been doing it in the D.C. courts, and Steve Coran, our D.C. counsel, has been our team leader essentially for that team, and making some progress. FCC has now put a little bit of a pause on some things. They're reevaluating, and we're hoping that over time they'll come to see it our way. And there's our legislative team leader, Elizabeth Bowles. We're looking at the back of her head. But that's because she's testifying. She's up there telling our regulators. She's telling our legislators. She's telling our people up there that are supposed to be representing us, you know, what's going on. And it's making a big difference. We've had Jimmy Carr, also our state coordinator, who's on the legislative team, go up and talk about CAF issues. All those things are very important because what they represent is WISPA's position on the record. And we go up there and we talk to people, we talk to aides, we talk to, you know, our representatives directly, but they go by what's on the record. And so when we go up there and testify, it's like we wrote a book, and it's now gospel. So it's very important for us to go up there and speak our mind and testify, because then when we go up and talk to them in person, it kind of is reinforced. The last time we were in D.C. also for our advocacy summit, we went and spoke with the USDA. Now, that was kind of exciting. We spent 4 hours in front of all their technical people, either in the room or on the phone, or all their finance people, either in the room or on the phone. And we did basically a WISP 101. We went up there with some of our best people. We had Jeff Kohler from RISE. We had Nathan Stuke from WISPR, both giving excellent presentations on the economic business model of being a WISP. We had Cambium represented, and they talked about the technology side. We had Mark Radoboff from our FCC committee talking about the differences between licensed and unlicensed spectrum. I learned some things in that presentation that I didn't know. It seems to me that us, as a group of unlicensed operators, are running about side by side as far as spectrum with the licensed operators. So we're doing what we need to be doing. We need to be doing more of it, but we are definitely holding up our own. So very exciting stuff. The folks at the the USDA learned a lot. They asked a lot of questions, both economic, financial questions. They asked technical questions. And I think we brought them into the 21st century, to be honest with you, because I don't think they really knew what we were doing. I don't think they really knew what the capabilities were of a WISP operator. And after that day, they know a lot more, and we're going to keep that dialogue going. And really the point of this meeting is that they're a funding organization. They are supposed to work with companies that want to build broadband services in areas that are unserved. And they had made up a lot of rules, not really knowing that they were blocking that. They were actually stopping progress. And then their philosophy for technology neutral was, let's spin the wheel and see what comes up today. And let's go with that one. When they weren't really looking at what's needed, how much they have to work with, and what can be done. So I think we straightened them out on that, and that was a very exciting trip. There's the team that was up there this last time. We're standing in front of a piece of art. It cost probably a lot of money to have installed inside that Senate building. But, the best part about going to D.C. with the team that I go with is that we're people, just like you. We're not lobbyists. We're not up there spinning a story. I'm up there telling my story. Forbes is telling his story. Nathan's telling his story. Elizabeth's telling her story. We're telling our story, so it's real. And I think that makes the biggest impact of anything that we can do in D.C. We've had some Hill visits that have resulted in victories this year. We have been the primary lead on a bill to get an exemption for small business on open internet. And we've been working with the House Energy Subcommittee, the Democrats and the Republicans. We're the middle, we're the bipartisan group. And we've got them to come along to our point of view that, from the very beginning, net neutrality wasn't about you guys. It was about big business using market power and their market share to influence the industry in a way that's better for their stockholders. It didn't really mean anything to you because you can't influence anything but your own equipment and your own networks. You can't negotiate with Netflix. You can't negotiate with Hulu. You're just providing people pipes to these connections, and they're getting it. They're getting what they're supposed to get. So we've had some victories there. We're hoping to see the same love over in the Senate side, and hopefully after the end of this, we'll have a 5-year break on some of the more onerous and unfair reporting requirements for net neutrality. And the FCC will put on notice that they need to prove that this is really, needed and not over some burden. So we are also, timing is everything. And I don't know if y'all know Ari. He's our lobbyist, but he's great, and he got us in front of the right people at the right time in D.C. They were working on a new bill called Mobile Now, and we got an opportunity to have some leverage in rewriting some of the wording in that. It was terrible. It's like everything that they've learned in the 3.5 to 3.7 gigahertz band was lost, and they were trying a whole new way of screwing up the spectrum again, making it unlicensed friendly. No unlicensed at all. No unlicensed use in this new band. So we've had some good successes being up there in D.C. and talking to people at the right time. Something new that the legislative committee is doing, which is I'm very confident is going to be fruitful for our industry, is the Political Action Committee, or a WISPAC. And when we were in D.C., we were there to give our first check to Senator Jerry Moran. He's been very helpful to us. He's in one of the ag committees, and we're not political. He's a Republican, but the bottom line is we'll go help and work with people that'll work with us and help our industry. So there's going to be a fundraiser on Wednesday at 6:30 at the Bourbon Raw Bar on 4th Street, and if you contribute, and become part of this wonderful process, you will get a wonderful ribbon to wear on your name tag this week, and everybody will hold you in high regard. But, so, we're in D.C. We go there, we talk about stuff. What do we talk about? Well, wrong remote. There we go. We talk about you. We talk about you in the field. Because there's the story. You guys are our story. Okay? We are a grassroots organization. We deal with the grass. We deal with the roots. We deal with what's happening out in the field. And the story I tell when I'm talking to these folks is about you guys are superheroes. You know, you got your superhero outfits and you're out there doing your thing. But not all of us can wear tights and capes. So this will work. This is some superhero stuff here. These guys are fighting breast cancer, actually. But, you know, we'll take it. They're WISP operators. They're out there doing it. And you guys got superpowers. Look at that. You guys are up in the air. Y'all are climbing towers. That's amazing. It scares the crap out of me. I've done it. And I can testify in before Congress that I've climbed a tower, and it scared the crap out of me. You raise monuments. Look at that stuff. That's pretty impressive stuff there. And I am waiting to get this one. Where's RF Elements? Are they here? Are they going to let us know when this is going to be released? Because I'm ready. But we're also overcoming obstacles. I mean, look at this. Now, I know that one of these pictures is not in the United States, but it could be. But we're putting wireless in places. Matt Larson's not here, and I couldn't find his pictures, but he's doing it out in his area. Wireless where there's no electricity, you know, using solar power. Amazing. Now, here is one of our regulators. He's tweeting about how he went to go visit this WISP Sky Fiber out in Reno, and how they're bringing internet services, no power, to the Tesla factory. Amazing. You know, you can't buy that kind of press. But we also got to remember all the ferocious beasts we have to fight every year. And I hate those things, whatever they are, the little ladybugs, the yellow ones. They get into everything. And my installers will not crawl underneath a house because of those snakes. But sometimes I make them. And then the guys who climb the towers have to run into the wasp nest. I mean, geez. And then, I don't know if y'all can see in this other picture, but that's the vultures. They're the ones that eat your wire. They're the ones that eat your little pigtails that connect your access point, and you got to go replace those every once in a while. And then I love the guys who invent stuff. They solve a problem because there's something that needs to be solved and they don't have a solution for it, so they invent it. And that one right there, I don't know what it's doing and why you've got to be strapped in, but I'm sure it's important. It's very important. So you guys are the story that we talk about in DC. And so one of the stories that I like to talk about, my favorite company to talk about, besides Verizon and CenturyLink Frontier, is AT&T. And they seem to come to DC a lot too, and they talk about something called Kool-Aid. They talk about how they need that CAF money to build out services. And I don't know if any of y'all remember reading any stories, but AT&T announced a while ago that they were going to take this CAF money that they got from the feds, and they're going to do something called fixed wireless. Whoa, that's pretty neat. How much are y'all going to do it for? $2,250 per passed home. Oh, wow, that's pretty good. So that's how much it costs to build fiber to those guys. But they're going to do it, and they're going to build fixed wireless because it's a lot more cost effective. So the other thing that AT&T talked about, and I happened to be on a panel for the Rural Broadband Experiment Program, and we were talking about economics. And the section of this talk was, what does it take for you to extend your network to a rural area? Well, the guys at AT&T talked about their donut economics. And I thought that was kind of neat because, you know, Basically, the rural markets are paid for by the cities and the suburbs. Okay? So basically, they have to figure out how to make people in the high-density areas make it cost-justifiable for them to extend their network out to rural areas. Well, I always say, I love donuts. You know, I don't need the whole. Give me donuts. And we really do like donuts. It's right there. Can't beat that. But what we really can do is build networks. And we do a good job of it. And it's not just me saying so. It's on the internet. Right there. That came from broadband, mapping.gov. It's not even accurate. It's like there's people out there that haven't even gotten to that map yet. But you can see there's no question we're making a big difference. WISP operators operate sensibly. They, most cases, use their own money, so you're not going to waste it because your wife's going to be trans. You're not looking for handouts. You just want the opportunity to do something that you can do. And the story that I tell, and Nathan, I've heard him say it, and others, is that it only takes me 3 customers to extend my network out to a group of folks, in most cases. And we're not selling Kool-Aid. Jeez. So the Kool-Aid, I think, is the part that gets me the most, because those people in D.C. drink it all the time. But we have the best stories, so undeniably. I tell these stories all the time, but there's a but here, and it's not mine. The man wants more information now. Okay, we've been going to D.C. and we've been telling stories about what we do and how we do it. They're starting to collect data from various sources to see that we're not blowing smoke. So they need more data. WISPA needs more data about you. We have some information now about the size of your business, but we're going to need to get more information. And the reason why is because we need to justify, we need to quantify, we need to qualify our positions. We need to say to them up in D.C., this is because, and show them the stats. We also need information about you so we can educate our legislators and our representatives. Like we did in D.C. with the USDA. We educated them. We also need to know more about you so we can develop solutions. Most of the things that we come up with these days, like if there's something that we don't like about regulation or law, we came up with it from getting information from you. So we can't do this without you guys. We also need to answer some specific questions sometimes. Now, I know that being confidential with your information is important. Over the next couple of months, though, we're going to be asking you guys for more information. And so if you get a survey, don't blow it off. Take some time. Don't try to answer it right then because you're just going to get distracted. But allocate some time later to do that. Answer questions. We're going to be making changes to the membership profile. So this is some information that we may ask that may not change so much. But it will be a good snapshot of our membership and our industry at any given time. Do your best to answer the questions. Sometimes we will ask you things that you're like, well, I don't know what that means. And honestly, I know that because I get those surveys and I don't know what they mean. And I have to ask. And so I stop and I ask the questions. Sometimes, though, we may ask you to go speak to your representative. So, if the call comes and you can do it, definitely try to help us out. It's important, though, for you to understand that we're going to keep your information confidential. I know, and this sounds wrong because I'm the president, but, I was one of those guys that was like, hell no, I'm not telling the government anything about my company. They get my IRS tax returns and that's it. But, I've learned that there's a little give and take. They're not just asking me these questions because they want to get into my business, mostly. But they are asking these questions because they're trying to make decisions nationwide. They're trying to make decisions that affect a lot of different people, a lot of different companies, a lot of different issues. So we're going to use your information in summary form, aggregate form, basically no details. Not even the board of directors will have access to the individual information. So, if we ask you something about your company size, about your revenues, about installs, things you do, and types of equipment you do, we're not going to be, turning around and selling information to Linktex or CTI or any of the big distributors. It's confidential. So just remember that. And trust us, we're not the government. We are here to help you. Does anybody have any questions? All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay. I know that you had stated several times in the section there about the professional installer, and I know that there's things coming up about that. Can you kind of give us any kind of insight of what we're thinking about with the professional installer certifications and those kinds of things, and what the future is for that?
Okay, well, at the end of the day, what we hope in professional installation certification will mean is that you will actually be trained and understand safety things around installing local codes, potentially, or national codes, and also the regulations. Now, one of the drivers, though, for professional installers is that we can use this term in regulations. We've used this term in the past, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just, you're just a professional installer, but you're not certified. There's no basis of what your training is. And so if you look at the TV white spaces and the 5 gigahertz and the upcoming SAS, we've used these terms in the regulations so that you, a professional installer, someone who knows what he's doing, is doing the right thing. We're trying to recover a little bit of lost ground potentially in the white spaces. However, in the 3550, 3650 SAS, citizens band radio system, it's written in the rules. And so we're just trying to solidify what this means. And hopefully, like I said, at the end of the day, there should be some type of a program that you folks can have training on and actually get a little card, and you'll know a lot more than you do now, that's for sure. Go ahead, Eden.
Has WISPA taken a look at getting some WISPA only or WISP only frequencies, maybe 200 or 300 megahertz someplace that we could use for WISP only, and not for AT&T to do their LTE unlicensed type of tricks and stuff like that, but something that you could actually register as a WISP and use those frequencies. We're starting to see unlicensed being used by everybody, and it's causing hell on our networks. When I go out and do sort of who's out there around my customer, I find like 25 Comcast routers that are broadcasting Infinity, those kinds of things. It would be really helpful if WISPA would maybe take a look and see what we can do along those lines.
Well, we're always asking for more unlicensed spectrum. That is a fact. There is a finite amount of spectrum available in usable areas. It seems that there's a lot of push on the government side for every ounce of spectrum, every megahertz of spectrum to be sold and made money. So I'll try to explain it a little bit in a way that when I was in my state meeting a couple of years ago, that question came up about the 3550 and that, it doesn't seem to be, just for the WISP operators. Well, it isn't. But what we did find is that we've made it unpalatable for the larger carriers to a point, and more palatable for a small business like yourselves to be able to get access to spectrum. So in the 150 megahertz of spectrum, 75 of that will still be what we call unlicensed or general access authorized, which means all you have to do is get an ID from the FCC, just like you do for 3650 today, and you'll be able to operate essentially in unlicensed bands. You will actually be able to operate in the other bands too, in the lower 150. You will have the opportunity at some point in time, if your business warrants it, to participate in a small auction, not a big one, small one, for just the areas you want to have this spectrum. You'll be able to use that spectrum even if somebody else purchased it, because they're not using it right now. You can still use it. So I don't see the future ever showing us just WISP spectrum, but what I do see is access to more spectrum in ways that are more cost-effective and economically viable for the guy with 500 customers as well as the guy with 10,000 or 100,000 customers. So, we're going to find that we're going to get more spectrum in ways that are easier for us. They may not be free and they may not be easy, but they are in ways that are all viable. Okay, go ahead.
As far as getting more information about the industry to the government, which does seem like it would be really helpful to me, I was wondering if you guys have considered reaching out to non-WISPA members and making them aware of things like the Form 77 filing requirements and things like that. So I think there's probably a lot of people that there's a lot of WISPs that aren't represented anywhere that the government doesn't know anything about. But I bet if you asked all of us here about all the WISPs we know about, we could probably get pretty close to a complete list of the whole country.
Well, that's a good question. So I'll start off by saying I can't talk to somebody I don't know. So we try to know as many people as we can. Now, Blair is our membership committee chair, and actually he's been tasked this year with identifying more people. So we've got lists that we go after where our sales folks call us. Veronica Perrin calls up a WISP operator that we've discovered somehow that's not a WISP member, and we try to bring him into the fold. Blair is going to be working with you guys, sending out emails to the membership, basically to refer people you know. I've WISP operators in my area that aren't WISPA members, and I've actually discovered them doing things that they weren't supposed to be doing, and contact them directly, in a friendly manner, and let them know that if you're using 3650, you've got to have a license and you've got to register it. It's funny, in retrospect, how things unfolded over the past year. I wish I hadn't done that, but I think I feel pretty good because I did the right thing. It may not have been the best thing for my business going forward, but I feel like as a WISPA president and a WISPA member, I did the right thing, and I encourage all of you guys to do that. So if you know people that are WISP operators in your regions or nearby, and they're not WISPA members, feel free to contact them directly. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can email admins, and the information will get to the right people, or you can email Blair if you know Blair's email address on the membership list, or just say on the membership list, who can I tell about these people that you want to be brought into the membership, because it's important that we have as many people represented in this organization as possible. There are numbers that we throw around with the DC folks of 3,000 WISP operators in the country, but they're not all members, and we don't know about all of them. We may know about half of them, we don't know about all of them. So if you can help, feel free. Any more questions? All right, thanks a lot. I want to give off some special thanks to some folks that helped me with my presentation. Obviously, Jim Patient, who's on there twice, Mike Hammett, Steve Coran, Elizabeth Bowles, right there, Jimmy Carr, back there, David Zybert, who is our new graphics and media guy within the WISPA organization, Ariel Coffey, who is not in the room, but you will see her at the registration desk if you want. And of course, also the folks at WISP Picks, which I don't know really who runs that, but I went through every picture you guys had and pulled out as much good stuff as I possibly could. A lot of stuff I didn't show you because it was probably inappropriate. But the most important thanks all is for all you guys. If it wasn't for everything you guys do, I would probably still be sleeping right now, instead of talking to you right now and thanking you. But I appreciate it. I mean, y'all are great, and y'all keep it up. And like I said, we're going to keep fighting for you in D.C. We need you guys to team up with us and give us some more information, and we're going to keep making things happen. Thank you very much, everybody. So lunch, I guess, will be up in the exhibit hall at 12 o'clock, if anybody was wondering.
Thank you very much, Alex. Just a couple housekeeping items. The Bamboo app, the beacons are out. They're set up. There are 12 of them. So they're kind of cool. It's a new technology. I would recommend you play with it. You download their app at the bottom of the website, and then when you turn it on, it'll pick up different beacons in the area. It has what schedule's going on the website, and then when you turn it on, it'll pick up different beacons in the area. It has what schedule's going on in that room. One of them is a survey, and if you take the survey, then you get entered to win a Raspberry Pi. So I recommend you just play with it. We're all technology people. I turned it on and was looking at it, and it's pretty cool to play with. It's a new technology that's coming out. So we have a little bit more time than we planned. So you guys have a little bit of break before you need to go upstairs. That's where the exhibit hall is. The exhibitors are finishing up getting set up. We'll have lunch in there. But that'll start around 12 o'clock. So you guys are more than welcome to stay here and talk. And then head up there around 12. And we'll have lunch. We then have 2 sessions. And then after that, we have the exhibit hall reception. So we'll have some light hors d'oeuvres in there and food while you get to talk to all the exhibitors. Thank you very much.